Alright, what's up everyone, I'm Faloki, and today we're going to be taking a look at a little bit of a preview for the Week 3 matchup between the Seattle Seahawks and the Minnesota Vikings. Now, both teams suffered some pretty sad losses last week, where the Seahawks, going against the Titans, got ran over by Derrick Henry in the second half. The defense just fell apart, the offense fell apart. We blew a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter, lost by a field goal in overtime. The Minnesota Vikings last week, in true Minnesota Vikings fashion, missed the last-second field goal and lost the game. I wonder where we've seen that before, but both teams suffered some pretty sad losses. They're going to be trying to come back and actually get a win this week. I feel like both teams are going to come out pretty hard. But the Vikings, they got some interesting injuries. Now, just to move right into it, for the Vikings, they've got Dalvin Cook questionable, not participating the entire week. But their head coach, Mike Zimmer, ended up saying that Dalvin Cook, even though he hasn't participated, he thinks that he could come back and play, because he said something along the lines of, if anyone's going to come back and play after not participating all week, it's Dalvin Cook. So maybe we'll see Dalvin Cook this game. Even if we don't, I think that the run game for the Vikings is still going to do pretty good, because last year when we played the Vikings, it seems like we play them every single year, but their backup running back in the second half, because Dalvin Cook got hurt, I believe, around halftime or around early on in the second half, their backup running back went absolutely crazy. And I believe that Alexander Madison is still on their team. He is. So hopefully Dalvin Cook plays, because Alexander Madison had our number last year. But continue on with their injuries. Anthony Barr is out. I believe he's been out the whole year. I don't think he played last week. Christian Darrisaw, their offensive tackle they drafted in the first round this year, I think he's been out all year too. Patrick Peterson is going to be playing, a familiar foe. The Seattle Seahawks have played the Cardinals many times, and Patrick Peterson now on the Vikings. We're going to see how he does. Everson Griffin, a guy that we were thinking about picking up last year but didn't actually end up doing it, he's going to be playing this game. Hopefully he doesn't get about 18 sacks against us. And then Harrison Hand, I'm not sure who that is, but he is a corner for them. He is going to be out this game dealing with COVID stuff. Apparently he was in close contact with someone who tested positive. And moving on to the Seattle Seahawks, some pretty unfortunate news. Brandon Shell is going to be out this game. You know, you don't want to see any injuries on the offensive line, but especially not one of the better guys. You know, if Kyle Fuller or Ethan Postage got hurt, wouldn't be too big of a deal, because our center position isn't great no matter what. But Brandon Shell, he's one of the more solid guys on the outside for us, so he's going to be out this game with an ankle injury. Hopefully Jamarco Jones, or who else is going to be filling in that position, will do well enough. Rashad Penny, of course, is going to be missing this game. He had a calf injury. He didn't participate all week. Dwayne Eskridge still dealing with that concussion, where he got absolutely walloped in week 1. Very unfortunate. He's going to be out this game as well. Hopefully he'll be back next week, because honestly, I don't think I've seen too many players miss multiple weeks with a concussion, but hopefully Dwayne Eskridge will be good. Benson Mayowa is questionable for this game, but I feel like he probably will play. I don't think there's much of a reason for him not to be. He has a neck injury, but I've heard good things about his progress throughout practice, so I feel like he probably will be playing. And then we have Brian Monet and Freddie Swain, who were a couple guys that were kind of questionable going into this week, but right now they are going to be playing. There's no questionable tag on them going into this week. Like early on in this week, there were some questions on if they would be healthy enough. Some pretty important guys. You know, Freddie Swain, he had a pretty good game last week. He had a back injury, didn't participate Wednesday. Kind of had to question that a little bit, but he is good. He's going to be playing this game. Brian Monet, big boy in the center. He's going to be stopping the run. Hopefully he's going to be playing today. So overall, we're missing a couple guys. Dwayne Eskridge, it sucks to see him out, because, you know, obviously he's our second round pick. He's our wide receiver 3, but hopefully he gets better. Rashad Penny, you know, you kind of expect him to be missing games. But Brandon Shell, this one really sucks. Brandon Shell and Dwayne Eskridge really suck that they're out, but hopefully they get better by next week. But other than that, we're pretty healthy going into this week. But going into this game, I'm pretty confident in the Seattle Seahawks to do well, at least offensively, because, you know, week 1 we did pretty solid offensively. The first half of week 2 we did pretty solid offensively. It just fell apart in the second half. I think this week we're going to be doing a lot when it comes to the passing game, because last week the Arizona Cardinals completely lit up the Minnesota Vikings with 400 passing yards. Rondale Moore went absolutely crazy. I think everyone picked him up in fantasy. And the week before that, the Cincinnati Bengals, who really aren't that great of a team, did pretty solid when it came to the passing game. 2 touchdowns, 260-something yards. I mean, the Minnesota Vikings defense hasn't looked great so far this season. So I definitely think that the Seahawks will have a good game, at least when it comes to passing the ball. And when it comes to running, I think they'll have a pretty solid game as well, because even though the Vikings aren't a great defense, they have have somewhat stopped most players when it comes to running the ball. Chase Edmonds last week only had 46 yards, which isn't that much for a running back. And then again, he only got 8 carries. They were really just throwing the ball like crazy. James Conner didn't do well, 8 carries, 26 yards. Week before that, I think Joe Mixon had like 30 carries. So we'll have to see how it goes in the run game. I'm not sure about that. But when it comes to the passing game, I have some pretty high hopes for us because we're going to need to go back to what we had in week 1. Those short, quick passes that were getting us a lot of yards. Take the safer option, but still have Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf for those deep plays. But I think we'll get back to week 1 form when it comes to passing the ball, running the ball, offense in general. And I think we'll do pretty good offensively this game. But when it comes to the defense, that's where the questions begin to arise. Now, will the Seattle Seahawks continue to start Trey Flowers? God, I hope not. But we'll have to see because honestly, they have some pretty solid wide receivers over there in Minnesota. They got Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and some guy, KJ Osborne, has been doing pretty well recently. He did really good last week against the Arizona Cardinals, and I believe week 1 he did okay. So, I mean, the Seattle Seahawks, we got to watch out. We can't be letting Trey Flowers start for us at corner. I mean, just give Sidney Jones a chance. By God, please, let someone else play corner. Honestly, get a 10-year-old off the street before the game and put him over Trey Flowers. I don't want to see Trey Flowers starting. I don't care how good he does. Trey Flowers starting is a mark of a bad thing to happen. Like, he might have the best game of his career, but if he's a starter, I'm always going to expect the worst. So hopefully Trey Flowers isn't starting for us. But I do think that the biggest point when it comes to this game is going to be Dalvin Cook because, of course, we know what to expect when it comes to the passing game for the Vikings. You can't really expect too many huge plays, but they're going to be passing a lot, and they're going to be passing frequently to Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. They're probably going to get some yards after the catch. We just got to try and, stop the big plays. Don't let them get any of that, and try to minimize the yards after catch for those guys. But if Dalvin Cook's playing, I'm going to be a bit worried because the Seattle Seahawks last week against the Titans, who don't really have much pass catching ability in the backfield, were just letting the Titans running backs get like 10-yard dump offs like over and over and over again. And I don't want to see that happen against Dalvin Cook because we know what he can do after he catches the football. So I really hope the Seattle Seahawks defense decides to come out and play a little bit better. Then again, I'm not going to blame it all on the defense. It was on the offense in the second half against the Titans because, when you start stalling and you have your defense going against Derrick Henry getting about 40 carries, you can't really expect too much. You got to keep your defense off the field, and we didn't do that in the second half. So hopefully it's just an overall better game for the Seattle Seahawks this week against the Minnesota Vikings because, by God, we cannot lose to the Minnesota Vikings. We've played them like every single year, and we've beat them like every single year for the past almost decade. So if we lose to the Vikings, I mean, they haven't gotten much better. It would really just be Dalvin Cook being healthy the entire game. I really hope we don't just completely piss the bed. I hope we do pretty well. So when it comes to my predictions for this game, I think the Seattle Seahawks will do well. I believe the Seattle Seahawks will score 31 points, but the defense might slack off a bit. I believe the Vikings will score about 24, maybe 27 points. I'm going to say 31 to 27, a bit closer than we'd like, but still the Seattle Seahawks offense does well. We take the dub. And when it comes to the gambling, baby, it's time to show the 10-leg parlay, the weekly gambling addiction. We've got the Seattle Seahawks, the handicap. The Seahawks will cover the spread of 2.5 points. So the Seahawks got to win by 3 or more points. I believe we'll do that. Seahawks got to score over 28. I believe we'll do that. Chris Carson gets a touchdown. I believe in that, man. Gerald Everett, I think we're going to go back to the week 1 type of offense. We're going to get Gerald Everett involved. We didn't really do that last week. He'll get a touchdown. Russell Wilson throws 3 or more touchdowns. I'm really hoping that Russell Wilson throws a screen pass to Chris Carson. He gets a touchdown, throws a touchdown to Gerald Everett, and then I don't care what he does for the 3rd touchdown. Chris Carson has 19 or more receiving yards. I feel like he'll do pretty well. Gerald Everett has over 21.5 receiving yards. I think he'll do pretty solid this game as well. Tyler Lockett, I think he'll have a good game because he's completely showed out the first few games of the season. So I really hope that this game he'll continue that. At least 77 receiving yards, at least 5 receptions for Tyler Lockett. I think he could get it. Hopefully he doesn't get shut down. Gerald Everett, I think he'll have at least 3 catches, at least 3 receptions. Like I said, we're going back to the week 1 offense. We're going to get the tight ends more involved. Hopefully Will Dissly doesn't steal all these. But by golly, $5 to 5,000. We're going to go ahead and do it. I mean, I'm not super confident in this one. I think my week 1 bet I was the most confident in, and I barely missed it by like 2 things. But this one, I think it could happen. If I believe in us enough, I believe our passing game is going to do really well this game. And if it does, then hopefully this bet will do well, because I'm betting on Chris Carson doing well in the pass game, not even the run game. I think his over-under for rushing yards was like 75 or something. I don't know if I want to bet on that after what he did last week. So I'm hoping we do well in the passing game, because I'm not too sure about the run game. But $5 to possibly $4,990, basically $5,000. We'll have to see if it hits, but that's my gambling addiction for the week. Hopefully you don't follow in my footsteps, but let me know down below what you think about this game. I'm going to be placing a $5 bet, about to lose $5, but if I win $5,000, I'll give everyone who comments a single penny. Charity man here, don't worry about it. But let me know down below in the comments what you think about this game. Will the Seattle Seahawks bounce back after a tough loss to the Titans, or will we continue to piss the bed? We'll see. Let me know down below in the comments. Like I said, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. With that, I'd like to thank you for watching. Have a great day.